For my older adult interview, I interviewed my great aunt Ruthie. She was born in 1951 and was 12 years younger than her next closest sibling, my grandmother. My great aunt Ruthie grew up on a farm in northeastern Pennsylvania, and given her experiences, I chose to focus on Erickson's fourth stage of development, industry versus inferiority. In this stage of development, children are learning about the satisfaction that comes from completing tasks successfully. If a child doesn't complete a task successfully, it has a negative impact on their self-confidence. During this stage, the child's relationships with others is also very important. I asked my great aunt Ruthie about gender stereotypes as it relates to growing up on a farm and what chores she would be assigned to do. Typically, on a farm, the woman tends to the house and to the children, while the male members of the family tend to the work around the farm, the plowing of the fields, the feeding of the cows, the chickens, and things of that nature. And I found her response to be rather shocking. She said, "For starters, my parents were equal opportunity. I had to drive a farm tractor when I was 4 years old. I couldn't work the clutch because I was too little, but my father managed to work the clutch. When you're on a farm and need help and no one is around to help, someone has to do things." Like I said, I found this to be interesting. However, it didn't surprise me too much given the age of her siblings. When my great aunt Ruthie was 6 years old, my grandmother was 18 and was about to be married. So she was the only person on the farm. And one of the articles I read suggested that there was no difference for chore-related activities. Given the age disparity, there was not always a lot of people on the farm to assist with the work. The tasks she learned to do were instrumental in helping her gain confidence she exudes today. They were also instrumental for the family's survival. The farm was the livelihood for my great-grandparents, and the food that they grew and produced is what they ate. They would spend time canning the food, and what they didn't eat from themselves, they would sell. That's the way it was on a farm. The confidence that she gained from learning how to plow a field and to operate a tractor has helped her throughout her entire life. In high school, she took a leadership role as her class secretary all 4 years of high school. After she was married, she became the administrator for the family's land development business. She also volunteered as an EMT and as an emergency dispatcher. And now that she's retired, she's the president of her local historical society, and she's also done a great deal of research into the genealogy of the families that first settled where she still lives today. She still resides on the land that was owned by her family and that was an operational farm up until when her parents died. For my psychological crisis, I decided to focus on the psychology of racism. My great aunt Ruth, who was born in 1951, was raised during the 50s and the 60s. She wasn't naive to the racism that occurred. She accompanied her family on a vacation to Florida and experienced Southern racism towards African Americans firsthand. It was the first time she had seen separate bathrooms for blacks or signs that said "No Blacks" manner and separate and a sign that was posted on a water fountain that said for colors only. In northeastern Pennsylvania, the only minorities were Italians and Catholic. There wasn't an there was not an African American family living in the area, and to this day there are very few African American families living in the area. She stated that the only families that are African American living in the area have recently moved down from New York City. My great aunt's first real experience with racism happened at a young age, like I said, in Florida. However, it really didn't prepare her for what she would experience when she got married. When she, After she had gotten married in the early 1970s, she moved with her husband, who was in the Marine Corps and stationed at Camp Lejeune in Jacksonville, North Carolina. She said one week black Marines were hung on base and the next it was whites. She was shocked about this. The fact that it was on base was a big deal. She stated she lived in a mobile home park off base and had black neighbors, which didn't bother her because they were nice people. Growing up in a small farming community was very beneficial to my great aunt in helping her not show prejudice. In the small town, it was comprised of farmers, grist mill workers, teachers, and preachers. You worked hard and you valued people for the hard work. You didn't judge them based on anything else. You looked at how hard they worked and how instrumental they were to helping the community. My great The farm my great aunt grew up on provided food not only for her family but for families living in the community, as well as milk for families living in the community. Down by the river near where my great aunt lives, there were operational grist mills. Grist mills are mills that produce grain, and the grain from the mill workers, they would keep a portion for themselves, and then they would also sell the grain to other families in the area and to stores. She understood what was occurring as far as the racism goes, but she never really understood the psychology of the racism because of how she was raised and what she was taught when she was growing up. She never experienced depression from her family. They always taught her she could do whatever she wanted. It didn't matter that she was a girl. Her chores that she was assigned exemplified that. Those were values that my great grandparents found very important to impress upon her. Outside of the farm, however, things were very different. She was expected upon graduation to become a teacher, a nurse, or a secretary. If she didn't take one of those jobs, she was expected to be a housewife for her husband. She stated that none of those options really appealed to her. She had thought briefly about becoming a teacher, but wasn't really keen on the idea, so she got married and moved away. Her confidence in learning how to successfully complete complex tasks assigned to her during the industry versus inferiority stage were the lessons that she remembers the most about a child. Growing up, she always thought her family was poor and was taught to be frugal. She told me a story about how windows were being replaced in the house and her father was pounding the nail straight. He had grown up during the Depression and pounding she asked him why he was pounding a nail straight, and he said, "You never know when you're going to need a nail or when you won't be able to get one." She actually, when her parents um, passed away, found out that her family was incredibly wealthy, but she still continues to show humility and to be a humble person. She's very grateful for what she has. Those who worked in her area were blue collar workers, and she had that blue collar work ethic. She was the lead administrator for her family's uh, land development business. And growing up in a farming community also taught her the importance of community, which is why she got involved in doing volunteer work. The society also taught her to work hard and treat others with respect, which is why she always did. She would always treat people how they would treat her. If somebody didn't treat her well or her family well, she just didn't associate with them. She didn't get involved in what was going on around her. For the other developmental stage theory, I focused on pre-operational and concrete operational stages by Jean Piaget. The reason I focused on two of the operational stages is because those two stages um, are included in the industry versus inferiority stage. During the pre-operational stage, a child is learning to express concepts with appropriate grammar but finds abstract thought to still be difficult. During the concrete operational stage, a child is learning to apply concepts to situations, but time and space are not independent concepts. The biggest argument I have against the pre-operational and concrete operational stage is the work that my aunt was assigned to do on the farm. Things go by a 12-month cycle. There's times to plant, times to sow, and times to reap the benefit of the harvest. She had to have that concept of getting the chores done in a timely manner because it meant the family's survival, it meant the family's income, and it also would have negatively impacted the community around her if they weren't able to provide food for those in the community or be able to sell the food to those. She was learning tasks at 4 years old that most children don't learn or don't have the concept of understanding for at least another 5 or 6 years. Strictly going by Piaget's theories, she wouldn't have been able to learn what she learned. She wouldn't have been able to complete the task that she completed, and she wouldn't be able to understand the concept of doing the task in a timely manner until she was older. Growing up on a farm for my great aunt broke societal norms. She didn't play with dolls. She did help her mother around the house with chores. She was never taught how to cook. Her mother always cooked, but she just would throw ingredients together and would never measure things. She said her first experience cooking was from a Better Homes cookbook that she had bought, and that was after she was married and living in North Carolina. It was interesting to hear my aunt express that to me, given her upbringing. I was surprised that it wasn't more traditional, but I can appreciate what she was taught and what she learned. The lessons she learns in the industry versus inferiority stage are still very evident in her life. She told me that when she travels, she takes two laptops, one to do work for the Historical Society and genealogy, and then she takes one for